Good to see you all tonight. I just entered the link to the minutes into the chat, and in addition, I'll share them on my screen. The last meeting was mostly an informational meeting, other than approving the agenda and approving the minutes and approving our end time adjournment. That's the word I'm looking for. We didn't have any other official votes that took place, but it was a really, really wonderful opportunity for information and for us to just talk about what the club as a whole wants moving forward. But once you've had a chance to look at the minutes either on my screen or on your own screen, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion of these minutes? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, if there is any opposition to approving the minutes, please say nay. And if there is anyone who wishes to abstain, please say abstain. We don't have a really short little single word like we do aye and nay. We need to come up with that. Anyway, so with that, the minutes have been approved, and now I will hand it back to Madam President.
That's not working.
All righty. Let's see. Did I mute myself or no?
We can hear you, Renee.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry about that. All right. The agenda is finally completed. I hope so. Take a look at it, if you will. These are some of the things that we wanted to talk about today. Take a look. And we have with us tonight our special guest, Chris Cluey. And we also have a couple of resolutions that we would like to have considered. So is there, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? And you may raise your hand if you wish to add anything to the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rouse. Who seconded that?
That was, yeah, Steve Rouse.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure it didn't light up. All right. And any discussion? Discussion going once, discussion going twice. Oh, Mr. Kaloji.
Hi, yes, I'm sorry. I'm on my phone, but I just wanted to make sure under the political section that there was a quick point on the endorsed candidate in the special election that happens tomorrow.
Got it. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hey, Renee, can you hear me? This is Amy Fole.
Thank you, Ms. Fole.
Oh, hey, great. There was something wrong with my audio earlier. I just wanted to vote abstain on the minutes just because I wasn't here and I didn't have time to read them. I don't think, not that it matters, but if we're logging, there it is. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing no further hand raised, let's see, endorsed candidate. I'll add that to the discussions for political today. And if it's in bold, it's because the VP in charge of that has a report to give. So these are the reports that will be given tonight. And next on the list, and also I want to let you know that Mr. Cluey also is appearing with Orange County Dems today. So he'll be here closer to 7:20, 7:30, just so you know. And next on our agenda is my president's report. And do we have Ms. Alex Banks?
I'm sorry, quick
sorry,
point of
I gotta
order.
vote, don't we? You're right. Sorry. Okay. Do we have can I get, are there any objections to approve, objections to approving the agenda at all? Does anybody have any objection? No objection going once, no objection going twice, no objection going 3 times. The agenda is approved by acclamation. And thank you. I'm a little bit discombobulated. I'm finally getting my feet back under the ground. It's been a really busy season for us here at my law practice. So with that being said, I'm going to go to our president's report now. Stonewall Social Media Initiative. In honor of Black History Month, we commissioned Alex Banks of the comms team, and we contacted some of our city council people. We tried to get a hold of all of them to nominate various individuals who are Black and queer, who are advocating and fighting for the community that they wanted to see honored in the community and promoted through our Stonewall social media. And with that, the artwork of Alex Banks is quite awesome. You've seen it before, and you're going to see it more of it. Thank goodness, I hope. And I'd like to introduce Miss Alex Banks. Ms. Alex Banks.
Hello.
Hi, Alex. And
Hey.
you don't happen to have any of those decks on your computer to screen share, do you?
Not. I don't think I saved any of them. No.
Oh.
I have the email. I can pull it off of. Yeah, let me see. Let me go back. Yeah, there was a couple other things though, that you and I talked about was highlighting a couple of organizations. I wanted to know if any more electeds sent those over too, because I think we still, it's still February. We can still do that.
Yeah, we're working on those as well. We'll try to get more. It's just a matter of whether we get the nominations. I know Heather, Councilmember Hutt, was very active in providing us with organizations that she wanted to see highlighted as well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that would be great. Let me find the Renee sent to a couple. I'll just pull up one, maybe, or two. This is.
And Michael, can she screen share?
Yes, Alex can screen share. Renee, can you check your text also, please?
Okay. Oh, shoot. Sorry about that.
What are we doing? Is it? We have you save.
You want us to come back to you, Alex?
Well, it's not letting me save them all at once. That was it was annoying.
Okay.
I don't know why. An old phone. Let's see. Save. 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 I think I got them all. Save. Save. Save.
And everybody, this was not Alex's fault. This was my fault because I did this at the last minute of putting this together. This meeting is very last minute put together. I've been kind of dealing with a lot of difficult emotions, as is everyone. I had my wife's son, who is my child too, and 6 grandchildren were displaced by the Altadena fires. They lost their home. And it's been a very stressful time for a number of us, not just for that, but with everything we see going on in the world. It's been a very difficult time for all of us, and motivation hasn't been there. But you know what? We do what we got to do to take care of ourselves, get ourselves back up in Chippy and Pepper, and here we are. So we're going to have this meeting, and we've got plans, and we will not be defeated. Oh, I see Mr. Bowen. Mr. Bowen's bullhorn. All right, let me come back to you, Al. Oh, wait, we got it. We got
There we
kitties. There we go.
go. So, Raquel Willis, one of our honorees. Can you see?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So, you can go to the Instagram to read all the whys. So it's going to be a little time consuming, but Amani, Rupert Gordon, Dominique Morgan, David Johns, Charlene Carruthers, um, Andrea Jenkins, and Raquel Willis. I think that was all 6. So yeah, you can go on the Instagram. It might be on the website as well. I'm not sure. To read the full little mini bio of their contribution to the community. But yeah, those are our 6.
Nice work, Alex.
Thanks.
Beautiful work. A round of applause for Alex. Yay. Some really good work. And in doing that, okay, so thank you, Alex. And also we wanted to point out that this is February and this is all about Black History Month. We have a resolution that I'll be reading to the group for approval. We'll come back to that shortly, but in a moment, I'd like to introduce you all to Jeffrey Prang. Mr. Prang, are you on the line? Are you here, Jeffrey? This is now I'm going to tell you something about Jeffrey Bragg. He is our county assessor. He's not the tax collector, he's the county assessor. And he really helped me understand the difference. And the other thing is that I'll tell you about Jeff is that he's been one of our longest serving openly LGBTQ public servants in our community and has been a strong supporter of Stonewall. And that's why it's so important, especially in times like this. I saw the announcement go up and I wanted to make sure everybody knows and as everybody gets right behind you early on. Jeff Prang, tell us what you're running for. Oh, you're muted. Uh-oh. I can't hear him. Michael? Help?
It seems to be Jeff's video connection on his end. Can you try speaking right now, Jeff? Jeff, you might have to disconnect your audio and reconnect.
Yeah, we're not getting you. Choppy. He's got good signal, it looks like. Hey, I got an idea. All right, Jeff, try it now. Turn your audio off.
Okay, how about now?
No, your audio, that's your visual.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting old. I can't see that well. I still have to hear a bit of the echo. Looks like a log out. Log back in.
Oh, I know why you're doing it. Hold on, it's because of me.
Log out, log out.
Not gonna work. Try unmuting yourself now. Jeff, you're gonna have to redial in because it's not working. Hang up and call back and I'll get you on next. In the meantime, let me give you a quick report. So, by a show of hands, how many of you ran to be an ADEM delegate to the party? Put your hands up. Nobody, none of you ran to be a delegate. Oh, Amy did. And one of the things that people don't realize is they don't know what ADEMs are. They don't know how to become a delegate to the California Party and how to give feedback to the party on resolutions, on rules and bylaws changes. So this is one of the important roles they play. Amy, since you're here, tell us a little bit about ADEMs, and do you know your results yet, and how are you doing?
Hey there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm eating dinner with my friend Crystal in the background. I won't know the results until March 3rd, according to sources. And then, yeah, and then how you run, you just have to, it's very easy. You just have to submit online you just had to fill in basic information, and then later you have to fill out a candidate statement.
Very good.
And
what
it's easy, you know,
assembly-
you can also you can run on a slate. I ran solo, but you can run on a slate, and that makes it easier when you campaign and things like that.
Excellent.
I can drop a link in. I'll drop a link. How about that?
Sounds good. All right.
Jeff Prang has returned to the meeting, by the way.
Let's give Jeff Prang a try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes that's all it takes. You know, I wasn't having that problem with this until Donald Trump got elected president. He's always doing something to mess up with our lives, isn't he? Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. Renee told me that she thought it would be a good way to add some excitement to the meeting by having the county property tax assessor come and liven things up. Probably just because the mosquito commissioner wasn't available. But let me tell you who I am and what I do. I was elected as a LA County assessor back in 2014. I run the largest local property assessment agency in the United States. I've got 1,400 employees, a $200 million budget. My office is responsible for determining the value for over 2.5 million real property parcels and business assessments annually, which last year were valued at over $2 trillion. That's with a T. And it generates about $24 billion in property taxes, which is allocated to public schools, city government, county government, and special districts. Before I was elected assessor, I served for almost 18 years on the West Hollywood City Council, including 4 terms as mayor, and I've been active in LGBTQ politics since the late 1980s. I actually served for a number of years on the board of Stonewall back in the late 80s and early 90s. As assessor, one of the things I wanted to, I think if you've attended a couple meetings recently of Stonewall, you know that we recently created a new organization countywide called the LA County LGBTQ Elected Officials Association. There's now over 50 of us representing jurisdictions throughout LA County. I'm the first president of that organization, hoping to add to the political and civic infrastructure of our community to prepare ourselves to advocate on behalf of the issues that we all care about. As assessor, you know, it's not one of those, assessor is not one of those glamour jobs. You know, my colleagues in the county that represent the entire jurisdiction are the sheriff and the DA, and I'm kind of the forgotten third one. But the office, but the work that we do is profoundly important. We are the foundation of local government. I always tell my employees that we're the most important local government office because no other office can do their job until I've done mine. If I don't do my job well and thoroughly, then money that should be going into public service is left on the table. But some of the things I've done since I've been an assessor, probably the most important thing, it's not a glamour thing, but it's profoundly important. When I was elected, I inherited this old 1970s legacy mainframe DOS-based computer technology. Over the last several years, we've invested $100 million to upgrade our technology to a cloud-based system. When I was elected, all of our files were paper files, millions of files. We digitized everything in our office, which has increased efficiency and accessibility for members of the public. One of the things I'm most proud of is a workforce development program where I've tried to create a jobs education and jobs pipeline, working with community colleges. I have a number of specialized positions in my department, including real estate appraisers, appraiser assistants, and something called an ownership technician, which require a great deal of training. The community colleges are now providing us the core group of applicants who can apply for these jobs. And obviously, a job with the county for a lot of people who go to community colleges can be a life-changing experience. Most recently, we've been extremely involved with the aftermath of the fires. Every property that was damaged in the burn areas is entitled to property tax relief. So my staff are working as fast as they can to ensure that we provide relief to those who were impacted. We were out there early. I knew that property taxes was not the first thing on people's minds while their houses were burning, but it's one of the important things that people are going to need to know about when they're trying to pull their lives together. There's a lot of difficult administrative and logistical issues, and I want to make sure people knew where to get the information to how to help themselves. So that's a kind of a thumbnail sketch of who I am and what I do and what I've been doing. And I'll be running for re-election next June. I will tell you that my race, it may not seem like it, it's a very, very difficult race. Nobody knows what the assessor is. Very difficult for me to raise money. So a huge number of voters will not know who I am, and they won't know who the assessor is. So it can be a close race, even against somebody who has no campaign. So I'm starting early. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with my friends at Stonewall, and hope that I'll be able to count on your support next June.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And Jeff, have you caught any wind about any Republicans running against you at this point?
You know, I did hear that there were some Republican activists who were thinking of running somebody. And they weren't, apparently they were not aimed at me. They're just trying to find a big office they could run for that they could sneak in without anybody knowing they're Republican. You know, I am it is a nonpartisan office. So a couple times in my re-elections, I've had Republicans run who've actually done relatively well in areas where a Republican would never do well simply because people didn't know they were Republicans. Although I think Republican County Supervisor Catherine Barger, I think, has been trying to shoot those people down because she's been a big supporter of my office and said she'd run interference if Republicans try to get in the race.
Very good. That's good news to hear. Well, we'll keep watching your race. And Jeff, thank you for all you do for us. And thank you for being a member of our community. We're really proud of the work you do and how you represent us.
Thank you, Renee. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it.
All righty. Thank you so much, Jeff, for having him here. And now let's see, let's go back to the next thing on our list that we wanted to talk about was, who is Sam Nordquist? So raise a hand. Do you know who Sam Nordquist is? Hello, let's see hands. Yeah, I see a few. Not nearly as many as we should see. Tonight we have a special guest, Chris Cluey. And his advocacy as an ally throughout the country was recognized. And yet, so little was reported about Sam Nordquist. Sam Nordquist died. He was murdered. He was tortured over 5 days and then his body disposed of. And I wanted to pay tribute to him tonight in particular because of the fact that it does not get highlighted enough. He was a 24-year-old Black transgender man from Oakdale, Minnesota. He worked in a group home with vulnerable adults, and he was known for his love and his kindness. And I'm going to share here real quick. Share. Oh, now I don't have screen share. Help me out here, Michael. Screen share me.
You're heavy too. Let me get my gun.
Let's see. Oh, is it coming up? It's not. Let's see if I can screen share now. Let's see. Not my favorite pictures, but You know what? I may not be able to screen share. This isn't working for me, so I'm going to skip it. But what I wanted you to know about Sam and the research I've been doing on Sam because of what he's gone through. This young man had a beautiful heart, and he was living his most authentic life. And he was going to New York to meet a girlfriend online, and it was supposed to be home 2 weeks later, but then his family didn't hear from him again. The family reported him missing on February 9th, and then on February 13th, his remains were discovered in a field in Yates County, New York, and that his body revealed that he had endured prolonged physical and psychological abuse between December 24th and February 25th. Thankfully, 7 individuals have been arrested and charged with second-degree murder in connection with his death. And yet the authorities have stated there's no indication that Sam's murder was a hate crime. They were noting that his assailants were known to each other and identified as LGBTQ. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is where we are. There have been vigils in both New York and Minnesota. But the one thing I want to pay tribute to is the fact that in this country, if it wasn't for our trans people who fought so valiantly in Stonewall and in other places, our movement would not even exist. And so I want to acknowledge, particularly in this month of Black History, that Black, queer, trans people are on the front lines and they are facing this assault. And we must each stand up and speak on behalf of our members of our community and to fight for their rights and to give no ground to anyone who is trying to pass laws that hurt our trans community. We must fight for our trans community. And the reason I'm speaking up about this tonight is because it is equally disturbing to me how in Congress we can have Democratic Congress members who are more than willing to vote in favor of legislation that perhaps they've decided that the T doesn't belong in the LGBTQ. And we can't have it. We cannot support that. We will not support that. So thank you for honoring and remembering Sam Norquist. He is the most recent one that has been tortured because of who he was. So with that, let me, if we could pause for a moment of silence for Sam. Thank you very much. All righty, let's see, what time do we have right now? Is Mr. Cluey?
Yes.
I believe we see him here. So with that, we are thrilled to welcome Chris Cluey as our special guest to our meeting. He's been a fierce advocate for justice and equality, and he recently stood up against MAGA extremists in Huntington Beach. And we have all been to Huntington Beach. We know what he's like, what's like down there. So he's joining us tonight to continue the fight. He asked to come speak with us and a number of other clubs, and he wants to ramp up and organize people so that we can fight the good fight. So with that introduction, Chris Cluey, who is a former member of the NFL, which I am a big fan of. Sorry, 49ers, go Niners. But Chris, I turn the meeting over to you for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I have to say, I really appreciate you speaking out on Sam Nordquist, because like that is one of the reasons why I did what I did. And it is one of the reasons why mentioning trans people was the first thing I listed on the list of, this is what MAGA stands for, the erasure of trans people. Because like it's no coincidence that the Nazis went after trans people first. And it's no coincidence that MAGA is trying to go after trans people first, because they think that's the wedge they can use to try to split us apart. And once you get people used to the idea of discriminating against one group, it becomes much easier to discriminate against further groups. So thank you for that. Like that was very moving, and I really appreciate you saying that. For anyone who doesn't know me, Hi, I'm Chris. As was mentioned, I am a former NFL punter, played for the Minnesota Vikings for 8 years. It's okay to root for me because I'm the one who gives your team the ball. So you're very happy when you see me on the field. I'm a professional surrenderer. So, but like I've always felt very strongly about justice, about people being treated fairly, and it's mainly due to the fact that I read a lot of science fiction and fantasy, and I'm a huge nerd, and like I would like to be the hero. If you want to be the hero, you got to stick up for, you know, the little guy. You got to stick up for everyone who's being oppressed, because otherwise you're not really the hero anymore. Like at best, you're a complicit bystander, and at worst, you're the villain. So like for me, it's really, really important that people have the same opportunities that I had growing up, because like that's what America is supposed to be. We're all supposed to start from the same place, and then we all get the same chance to succeed. And whether or not, you know, how far you go is up to you. So that's why like that's part of the reason why I speak out for other people. The other part is a purely selfish reason, in that if I was ever oppressed, you know, obviously as a straight white male, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But if I was ever oppressed, I would want someone to speak out for me. But the only way I can live in that world is if I speak out for other people. You know, the Martin Niemöller poem, right? You know, first they came for the communists, you know, then they came for everyone else, and then they like eventually they came for me, and there's no one left. Like that I believe that because it's true. And we're starting to see that happen again. And I'm not okay with that happening in our country. And so yeah, like that's I mean, I really just I wish I didn't have to get arrested in order to make a point that like our elected officials should be doing more, especially for the LGBTQ community. But since no one else was doing it, like I guess it's on me to step up. And so yeah, it was for those who don't know Huntington Beach, we've been dealing with this library issue for like 2.5 years now, and it's really freaking upsetting because we have a wonderful library. Like people come from cities all around to go to the library because it's a really cool library, and the librarians there rock. Like it's fantastic. It's one of the crown jewels of the city, and these MAGA. Is swearing allowed here? Like, is it okay if I swear?
Yes, you can swear.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. So these mega dipshits like are constantly going after the library because they know that the rest of the community loves the library, and it's a beacon of education and diversity and welcoming people into the city. So and Gracie Vandermark in particular has a like a huge heart on for like trying to get rid of the library, which is ironic because like she's the one who found a couple books that were filed in the wrong place, and she submitted a form to the library system, and then the books got moved. So the system the library had for inappropriately like filed stuff, it works, and that was pointed out in multiple council meetings. But yeah, it started I think it was like 2.5 years ago. Gracie was like, we need to ban these specific books from the children's section. They're not appropriate. Coincidentally enough, all the books happen to deal with LGBTQ issues. And it's like, well, that's a book ban. The community got really upset. Then Gracie tried to push a thing where, okay, well, we'll have a panel reviewing what's appropriate to go in the library. And those things that aren't appropriate, well, you know, they'll go in their own special room that's cordoned off. And then everyone was like, but that's a book ban. Got super upset. And so we started a petition. I think we got over like 15 or 16,000 signatures on it, you know, well more than what we needed to actually bring it to a, you know, council vote. Funnily enough, that was one of the other meetings, one of the other agenda items in the meeting that I got arrested at, is the council is really trying to find a way not to deal with these petitions. Because the second petition has to do with their next step was, well, let's privatize the library, right? Like it's not being run properly. So we need to bring in this private company that'll run it properly. Community got really upset. And so that's the second petition that got 15 or 16,000 signatures, where it's like, please stop fucking with the library. And then their most recent one was this MAGA plaque, where it first, just from a purely like graphic design perspective, it is ugly as hell. And the revised one that they went with is still ugly as hell. Like it's just, it doesn't look good. And the main feature of the original one was a MAGA acrostic that was in the largest font size on the plaque that said magical, alluring, galvanizing, adventurous. And I'm sorry, I would not like my library to be alluring. Like that's not what I picture when I think of a library, because I know what words mean. Like that's a poor choice of words to describe a library. But like everyone at the library commission meeting was sorry, not everyone. Over 90% of the people at the library commission meeting were like, we do not want MAGA on a plaque. And it's not just because it's MAGA, but it's also because a library is supposed to be an apolitical place. Like this is supposed to be somewhere where everyone can go. Everyone can check out a book, can read, can find something that they want to do. And when you put a political message on that, it's no longer a public library. Now it's a propaganda center. And so, yeah, for me, that was kind of the last straw, where it's just like, okay, you like it's obvious by now you guys aren't going to listen to us as a community. You don't care what we have to say. The library commission people, like they didn't even debate it. I mean, when you have 90% of the people in the room telling you your plaque is fucked, you need to do a new one, and you don't even debate the merits of the plaque, that tells me that you're not really in city government to help the community. You're in it for some other reason. And so, yeah, I knew the council was going to pass the plaque 7-0 at the city council meeting, because that's what they do. Like they don't care about the people of Huntington Beach. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to do something to show them that people are upset about this. Like people want them to listen to our voices and to stop messing with the library. And at the same time, I also saw an opportunity that what's happening in Huntington Beach is a microcosm of what's happening in our country as a whole. Like Huntington Beach is basically like here's tiny MAGA, and then Donald Trump is like here's big MAGA. And what MAGA stands for is everything I said in my speech. It's like it is explicitly a Nazi party. Like they are trying to erase trans people. They're trying to resegregate. They are crushing our government right now and forcing good public servants out of office so that way they can accumulate more power. They're letting a billionaire run amok. And it's like, I'm a history and poli-sci major. I've seen how this book starts. I don't want it to end the same way. And so what was super frustrating for me is that I wanted to see more action from our elected Democratic representatives, because this is the time for good trouble, right? John Lewis, just an absolute titan of the civil rights movement. And the civil rights movement, we didn't achieve civil rights by bipartisanship. Like we didn't achieve civil rights by happily talking with the other side. Like we got civil rights by protest. We got it by civil disobedience. We got it by forcing people to see what was going on was so wrong that they had no choice but to acknowledge it, and they couldn't look away. And that's what we need right now. And when I saw that no one else was doing it, like one of my philosophies is I'm not going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And so if no one else is doing it and I want you to do it, well, I guess I got to do it. so yeah, it was definitely a very exciting night. As I told the council, like while the police were restraining me on the floor, I was like, I don't want to be here. This is not how I want to spend my Tuesday night. Like I want city council meetings to be boring. I want you to talk about like paving the roads. Where's the next protected left turn signal going to go in to help cut down on accidents? Like that's what a city council meeting is supposed to be. But unfortunately, we have the city council that's only in it for their own power, and they're trying to move up into Trump's orbit. Like our city attorney recently just left to take a job with Trump's Justice Department. And our city council members, they want to do the same thing. Like they don't care about us as a community. They just care about accumulating power and trying to get more power. And I as a resident of Huntington Beach, do not like that. And there are a lot of us in Huntington Beach who do not like that. And, hopefully people across the nation start realizing you do have a voice. Like you can do things to show that you are upset with what's going on, and you need to do things that show that you're upset with what's going on, because there were a lot of good Germans who stood by and didn't do anything to stop Hitler, because either they thought he was going to help them or they thought he didn't mean what he said. And I think that's the case right now, where there are a lot of good Americans who are standing by because either they think Trump has their best interests in mind, or they think he doesn't mean he's the things he's actually saying. If history has shown us anything with Donald Trump, he is always going to try to do what he says he wants to do. So yeah, that's my speech. If anyone has questions, I like doing question and answer way more than speeching, because I don't like to speak at people. I like to speak with people. So yeah, I would like to open up the floor for anyone who would like to talk about anything whatsoever.
Absolutely. If you'll put your hands up, I'll take you in the order that I see you. But I am going to claim presidential privilege first by asking the first couple of questions. So first of all, Chris, thank you so much for being here. A round of applause for Chris. Absolutely. Thank you for speaking up for us and being a wonderful example of what allyship should look like. Being able to come out in front and stand in front of us because they're coming for us. Thank you for doing that, Chris. And so one of the first questions I wanted to ask you is, have you been watching the elections in Germany recently?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things I saw is that like there's this really big split between and how it's being reported, in that yeah, a bunch of like young German men went to the far right party, right? But even more young German women went to the far left party. And like I think it's really important to recognize that kind of thing, where it's not all doom and gloom. Like there are a lot of people who see the rise of fascism and don't like it. And so we need to acknowledge the negatives that are happening, but at the same time, we also need to highlight the positives and make people aware that you're not alone in this fight. Like there are a lot of us out there who don't like this, because we've all seen the horrors of the past and we don't want to repeat them.
Absolutely. So, Chris, one other question for you real quick. What are your plans going forward? How can Stonewall members help you and in terms of proceeding with your advocacy?
Yeah, so for me, the biggest thing is, I mean, obviously, I probably don't need to tell a Stonewall group, right? like make local connections, or make sure you know who has your back, like make sure you know who your allies are. I feel like this is not the group that needs to hear that message, but that's something I'm trying to tell other people. When they ask me like, hey, what can I do? I'm like, find other people in your local community, because that's where it's going to start. Like you need to know who you can trust in your local community, who's going to stand beside you, because there's a lot more of those people than you think. I mean, for me personally, I've had so many people reach out from our local community being like, hey, what can I do, right? Like what can I do to help stop this? And that's where it starts, like banding together and showing the fascists that yeah, you may be a vocal minority, but you're not the majority, right? You do not have a mandate to tell us what to do. Aside from that, just being ready, because the way things are going, like I don't want to be doom and gloom, like woe is us, but things are going in a bad direction. So if you are a member of a vulnerable population, like please make sure you protect yourself. And one thing I've consistently tried to get across in interviews, and what I've tried to tell other people, is that like this is a straight white guy problem. Like we created Trump. Like he's an us issue. We're the ones who need to solve it. Like we can't rely on oppressed people to be the ones on the front line, because they're the ones being oppressed. Like we caused the mess. Let's get out the cleaning supplies and fix it. So yeah, if you have straight people who are wondering what they can do, tell them, be like, hey, like be the ones that are vocal, be the ones that are loud, show people that you care about this, and that there are a bunch of us that say, no, we will not sacrifice our trans communities. We will not sacrifice our lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer plus communities. Like we're here to be the front line and take the hits, so that way they don't have to.
Well, thank you so much. Let's call on our members that have questions for you. Ms. Chris Baldwin.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to also thank you for using your privilege for the cause. I appreciate that, brother. So are you running for office is my first question.
So I've gotten that from so many people, and me as a person, I don't want to be a politician because I I like finding problems and then fixing them. And then it to me it seems to be like it should be fairly quick. I also I I understand the need for compromise, but I feel there are certain things you shouldn't compromise on. And one of the really disheartening things about the Democratic Party right now is that it seems like they're willing to compromise on splitting the tea out from everything else. And to me, that is an abject failure of you as both a public servant and as a human being. Like that's again, that's how the Nazis started. If you do the same thing, you are complicit with what the Nazis did. That being said, a couple days ago, I was at my parents' house for my brother's birthday, and my dad made a really good point to me. He's just like, if you want to serve your country, sometimes you got to do things that you don't want to do. And I was just like, oh, that's a really good point. I can't really argue against that. So what I'm doing right now, I'm currently talking with former council members, obviously, meeting with various Democratic clubs and groups, and I'm trying to figure out like what the best way forward would be, because in Huntington Beach, I'm not sure if it makes sense to run for the city council because we just get so much outside money put in here that like I don't know if I can compete. One of our former city council members said she raised $200,000 like for this last election cycle, and that is ridiculous for a city council campaign. Like that, frankly, that is way too much money that people are spending. But that's what we're up against here, and so the problem then becomes, well, I'm actually okay with our representatives. Like aside from, I wish they were doing more, to protest and to like actually show people the immediacy of action that needs to be taken. Like they do a pretty good job. Like Dave Min, I don't really have a problem with Dave Min. Like I feel like he's doing a pretty good job. Like I wish he would, get arrested for public disobedience, just like I wish the rest of our Democratic elected officials would get arrested for public disobedience, so that way people understood the severity of the situation. But again, I don't want Dave Min's job. I think he's doing it fine. So for me, it's how can I effectively serve in terms of like making people's lives better. And if that's running for public office, okay, then I won't like it, but I'll do it. But if it's not running for public office, if it's doing something else, then I would rather be the most effective like actor that I can be, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sean Kaloji, you're next.
Yes, thank you. Speaking of public office, there's an election tomorrow in Huntington Beach for state senate, and Tony Strickland, I think it's tomorrow, is running.
I already voted for Jimmy Pham.
Yes, no, and we've endorsed him. My hope is that that Strickland will not win the primary, but he probably will be close. But I think that maybe in a runoff there's a chance. Do you think there's a chance to organize folks to kind of show that Tony Strickland and the divisive politics of the Huntington Beach City Council is not something that should be rewarded with elevation to a new office?
Well, I think there's a chance now, if it goes to a runoff, because I think there's a lot more attention now on Huntington Beach, right? And I think it provides much more of an opportunity to illustrate just how corrupt Tony Strickland is. Because like the only reason Tony Strickland is in Huntington Beach is because he embezzled money from his previous job and he had to move out of the county. Because they wouldn't let him serve in public office anymore because he's a crook. Unfortunately, that wasn't made aware to the voters of Huntington Beach during the election Tony Strickland got elected. I still don't know that the majority of voters in Huntington Beach understand that Tony Strickland is a crook, that he has ties to Code 4, who are the people that run the air show in Huntington Beach, and who recently the city council gave a massive settlement that they did not need to do. and is going to cost us millions of taxpayer dollars, like I think for the next 50 years or so. I mean, it is just absolutely corrupt what he has done. I think from what I've heard, he also has connections to the light show that they're going to attempt to install in our Central Park. That light show is a Canadian company that I guess is being sued by the previous area that they did their light show in for not removing their stuff once they were done and restoring the area back to its original state. So yeah, if it comes to a runoff, believe me, I will do everything in my power to be out there banging the drum on. You do not want Tony Strickland as one of your representatives because he doesn't have your best interest in mind. He only cares about what's going to get him more power.
Very good, thank you. And our very own June Panushkin. June, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, just trying to get unmuted here. It's not so much a question, but it is more of a, I guess, a what we need from you conversation piece. I mean, you're talking about the efficacy of, where's the best place for you in somebody like this. And just from my observation of how this party has been working recently, there's a very big divide as to who would be an effective elected official and who would be an effective activist, right? It's a very difficult job. It has a lot of different robust activities to be an elected official. I mean, we have some in the chat with us right now and in the call listening in know that it's a difficult job to navigate and how you use your voice as an elected official to do smart policy making and advocate for the people that you represent. But I think you've really hit the gold mine for a lot of people right now, especially with your demographic, in that you're able to critique the party's actions without getting pushback a lot of times, right? I mean, you are the demographic that has caused how this election has played out for a lot of people and caused a lot of the vitriol that's been pushing out. And we don't have many other straight white guys who are able to critique the party more eloquently than not. So I think that's one of those places, like almost everybody that's in the call here, we're involved in the party in ways that we wish that we weren't at the end of the day. I mean, it eats up our lives, it takes up our wallets. We go to these conventions and we vote our asses off until it gets depressing and sad when you're in the minority. Right. And you're one of the people that, you're not necessarily a party hack like the rest of us, but you do have the opportunity that you're able to advocate for communities like ours and really show the party what is necessary to win back the key demographics that are going to end up attacking other minorities that are a part of our coalition. And as I've been saying for many a day since November 5th last year, the LGBTQ community is the most vulnerable member of the Democratic coalition. And our party leaders at one point or another are going to give in on protecting that most vulnerable member of our coalition, because it's easier to give up that membership than to protect it and lose again if it isn't popular. So I mean, that's just what I would say that we need from you in this instance is, somebody to be able to keep using your voice, keep, learning more about the party. These Democratic clubs are great spaces, as you've been learning, to learn more about how the party functions and who's in it. Orange County is a very big bastion of, party leaders as well. And I think it's very valuable to try and interject into the conversation of how somebody of your stature, of your career, of your beliefs is able to, let the party have that come to Jesus moment that it's beginning to have for the past few months that it really hasn't been able to reach.
Yeah, well, and to build off that, like, I think it's really important that sort of the established old guard of the party understands that if you sacrifice your most vulnerable members, that's not going to stop this administration. Like, appeasement didn't work for Hitler, it's not going to work for Trump. Like, as soon as they pick off the T, they're going to come for the LGBTQ plus. As soon as they pick off the LGBTQ plus, they're going to come for everyone who supported the LGBTQ plus. Like, you are on the chopping block. It's just not your neck in there right now. like they will come for you. And I need our elected officials to understand that. Like I'm sure everyone saw that, you know, that the DOJ is trying to pursue charges against Chuck Schumer. It's like, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Like they don't give a shit about the law. They don't give a shit about the Constitution. They care about wielding power and accumulating power and making themselves feel good. And so we have to protect everyone because giving someone up, it's not going to stop them. Appeasement doesn't work.
And besides the fact it's unethical.
Yeah, exactly.
Pain.
I don't know how many people here have ever read Terry Pratchett, but one of the things that he wrote that really stuck with me is that it's an exchange where, you know, they're talking about the nature of evil, and the quote that sticks with me is that, like, evil always starts with treating other people as things. And it's true. It's when you see another human being as a thing instead of a person, that's where evil starts. And that's what this Trump administration is doing. They're trying to reduce people to things. I mean, Elon Musk, you know, him and his crew are calling people NPCs, right? Non-player characters, as if like it's a video game and you don't matter. You're only there for the main character's enjoyment. Like that's where evil starts, because you're dehumanifying someone, and once you've taken someone's humanity away, you can do whatever you want to them, because that's what the Nazis did.
Yeah, 100%. Rocco Del Priore, who I happened to meet this weekend. Rocco, welcome to the meeting. It's your turn.
Hey, hello, thank you. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Thanks for coming on here and listen. Thank you for doing what you're doing, especially what what we saw happening on the floor that day. And my question is this: I want to make a quick statement before I ask the question, but I too, for a very long time, have believed that our party, the Democratic Party, has been kind of letting things go and forgetting about the voters. They've essentially been failing us in every way. And when you're talking about how there's compromise and then they're going to continue to keep picking off things until there's essentially nothing left, you're absolutely right about that. And the fact that our elected officials really do seem to be doing a lot of nothing these days. And it's taking someone like yourself, who is a non-elected person, to be in the media doing something that, like you said, they should be doing, to stand up for everything that's wrong in this country right now. And the question I have for you is more philosophical in nature, but while you're on the floor being subdued after saying what you said, and you're basically saying something that's just fundamental to human rights, right? You're on the floor being arrested. Now, I understand, why this is happening, but what was going through your mind in that moment that, as someone who's not an elected official, you're having to be the one that stepped up, that did that caused the ruckus, that finally got people to look up and say, hey, maybe there really is a problem. What was going through your mind in that moment?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. Like it wasn't the most nervous I've ever been. That was probably the first like actual season NFL game I played in as a rookie. Like that's probably the most nervous I've ever been. This was a pretty close second, because I mean, let's be clear, like breaking the law doesn't come easily, right? Like and it shouldn't come easily, because if our laws are just, they're there for a reason. But in this particular instance, like I knew that breaking the law was something that needed to happen, because our council just doesn't listen. Like they don't care about what the community says. And for me, it's like, okay, well, I gotta do it. And the other thing that helped is that, like, this isn't my first rodeo. Like when I spoke out for LGBTQ plus rights when I was playing for the Vikings, like it was very similar in terms of the attention that I got, right? Like I wasn't expecting it to go super viral, but it went super viral. This one, I wasn't expecting it to go super viral. Like I thought maybe the local news stations would pick it up, and then, like, people would start to pay attention to Huntington Beach, but it went super viral. But the big difference between the two is, back when I was speaking up in Minnesota, it still felt like the events that were happening were taking place within our American political system, and that each side would present their views. There would be a vote, and then people would abide by the vote. And we're still operating within the bounds of our political system. Now Now it feels like the fundamental question is, are we going to be America or are we going to be something else? Because America was founded on the idea of we do not have a king, we do not have a tyrant, and we fought a war for that. And as an American citizen, I am not okay with the official White House account putting out a picture of an American president with a crown on his head. Like, that makes me fucking furious. And it should make everyone fucking furious because that goes against what the heart of America stands for, regardless of your political affiliation. Like, we are all about no kings, never. And that's what we need to get other people to understand, particularly those who are considering themselves conservative but voted for Trump, is this is what you are currently signed up for. If you keep going down this path, this is not America. Like, you are not American. You have forsworn your duties to the Constitution of the United States. And I'm hopeful that enough like small c conservatives will realize that at some point and be like, wait a minute, like, regardless of our beliefs on LGBTQ rights, regardless of our beliefs on the budget, regardless of our beliefs in how we should intervene in foreign affairs, at the end of the day, we are Americans and we say no to kings. So like that's one of the big messages that our elected officials should be putting out, because I think that resonates with people. Like we don't want a king. We don't want a tyrant. And we have to make people aware that that's what's happening.
Right. And if I could just say one quick follow-up to that too, you're absolutely right about that. And one of the things that I found really disheartening, you know, you obviously have someone like yourself who's willing to go to those lengths to get arrested in order to make a point, but you have literally members of Congress standing at the front door of a federal building being blocked from entrance by security guards hired by Elon Musk, and yet we do nothing.
Yeah, fucking go. Push your way through. Make them arrest
Exactly.
you. Like, then people are aware that it actually matters to you. Like, and I feel like that's what's lacking from our Democratic leadership, is it doesn't feel like it matters to them. And however many news conferences you call, however many speeches you give, however many tweets you put out there, at the end of the day, you got to back up words with action. Because if you don't, then it doesn't matter to you.
Absolutely. So Maria, you have the last question and the last word.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Well, hello everyone. Good evening. Just real quick, can you put your information in the chat so people could be able to follow you and support you? Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
And that was quick. So thank you very much, Chris, for being with us. Thank you for being an ally. Thank you for recognizing how important it absolutely is for your demographic to fight this fight, because it truly is that fight belongs to people with privilege like myself, who appear white. We've got to fight this fight together.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm going to keep speaking out on this, because like this really is an existential threat to our country, and we need people to start seeing it that way, because when fascism happens, it happens quick, and if we want to stop it, we have to act quick. Otherwise, we're going to wake up, and then, I mean, I'm sure you've all seen the video from Coeur d'Alene where there's brown shirts dragging a woman out of an assembly. Like that is where we're at. So we need people to recognize that, be like, okay, maybe we should start doing something about that.
All right, so let's give Chris Cluey a round of applause one more time. Thank you so much, Chris. And I hope we get to see you back again soon. And hopefully you'll be walking with us in one of our pride parades. We'd love to have you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I love pride parades. I did a couple back you know, when I was speaking out on the Vikings. They're fantastic. They're such a great time. So yeah, I'd love to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, Chris. All right, now on to membership voting. We have two resolutions tonight that we need to consider. I will ask, they are attached to the agenda. And do I have a motion for a reading of the resolution of gratitude and demand for rigor in honor of Black History Month?
So moved by Stapleton.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All righty. I will give the reading of it. Whereas we are confronted with a crisis of unprecedented magnitude that threatens the very fabric of our constitutional order as we know it, while the enduring principles of freedom and liberty have been continually delivered by the unwavering determination and sacrifices of the Black community, and most notably by Black women whose decisive votes in Southern states during the historic 2020 election for Biden, along with their consistent support in previous elections for Democratic leaders, have played a pivotal role in sustaining the democratic process and safeguarding the values that underpin our community. And whereas the steadfast commitment of these citizens, in concert with the tireless efforts of civil rights activists and justice warriors throughout our nation's histories, has forged a legacy of courage and resilience that spans generations and served as a beacon of hope in times of profound national adversity. Whereas it is with deep regret that we acknowledge our collective failure to adequately express gratitude and to honor to those who have repeatedly defended our rights and rescued our constitutional principles from the brink of collapse, as well as our insufficient efforts to confront the enduring realities of institutionalized racism and systemic discrimination, which demand not only participation in institutionalized diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, but also rigorous introspection and self-reflection to dismantle ingrained prejudices. Now it be resolved, in recognition of Black History Month, as a solemn celebration affirming that Black history, we call upon the Democratic Party to publicly extend its heartfelt thanks to the African American voters, to all civil rights activists, and to every justice warrior whose legacy of sacrifice has enriched our nation by implementing rigorous and comprehensive training initiatives that foster mutual respect and acknowledgement for the historic and ongoing contributions of communities of color, and that we solemnly affirm our collective duty to protect our Constitution, honor our past, and build our future where justice, equality, and liberty are not merely ideals, but living realities for everyone without exception. That is the reading of the resolution. And I want to tell you why we're introducing this now, because now is the season that we can deliver resolutions to the LA County Democratic Party. And it is only through the LA Democratic Party that resolutions are able to be submitted to the California Democratic Party. And this is the demand that talks about, you know, what we have to do more, exactly what Chris was talking about in terms of how we get rid of these institutional biases and prejudices and challenge ourselves to further introspection to make sure we address our own. So with that being said, I want to open is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. I got a second. All right, with that being said, let we open it up to discussion. Any discussion? Discussion going once, discussion going twice, discussion going 3 times. And Michael, do we need to put this, is anyone wanting a poll on this, or can we just by a show of hands ask all those in favor of the resolution by raising your hands? I'm trying to find my hand. It's here, but where's the one on the computer?
It's under React, Renee.
Oh, there, React. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. All right. All right, and then, okay, we got hands raised. Now, put your hands down. Anyone opposed to the resolution? No opposition going once, going twice. Do we have any abstentions for the resolution? I see no abstentions. The resolution passes and it will be submitted to LA County Democratic Party for consideration in their resolution committee. And we have one more resolution. Can I get a motion for a reading of the support of democracy and peaceful protests against MAGA extremism?
Motion to read.
All
Second.
right. Second, all right, and all those in favor say aye.
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 I guess you guys,
Aye.
I I didn't do that for the record on the
Aye.
other one. Am I in trouble for reading it? Mr. Stapleton.
It's already been adopted.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, then I don't have to worry about it. Okay, good. I just want to know if I had to go back and fix anything. All right. So, in support of democracy and peaceful protests against MAGA extremism, whereas since Donald Trump's return to office, the MAGA movement, bolstered by unelected billionaires like Elon Musk, has escalated its assault on democracy, displaying corruption, ignorance, and cruelty. Americans are witnessing blatant attacks on our institutions, including threats against the media, efforts to undermine the Justice Department, the erosion of civil rights and privacy, the gutting of healthcare and safety nets, the appointment of unqualified and ethically bankrupt officials, callous dismissals of dedicated federal employees, and the celebration of political violence, all while Trump proclaims himself a dictator, a king, and the national law, and Musk embraces rhetoric and gestures disturbingly and unmistakably reminiscent of historical authoritarian regimes. And whereas the majority of Americans are increasingly rejecting this reckless agenda, refusing to idly stand by as liberties are trampled, democratic institutions are sabotaged, alliances are fractured, and constitutional principles threatened, while we look ahead to the next election as an essential opportunity for desperately needed moral and course correction, millions and more are recognizing the urgency in actively engaging in peaceful resistance, including for some civil disobedience, to push back against MAGA extremism, bigotry, and the dismantling of fair, humane, and compassionate governance. And whereas former NFL player and activist Chris Cluey exemplifies the courage of countless Americans resisting authoritarianism, a longstanding advocate for the LGBTQ plus rights, labor rights, veterans, public education, and free speech, Cluey has consistently championed democracy and human dignity. On February 18th, 2025, he took part in an act of peaceful civil disobedience in front of the Huntington Beach City Council, drawing national attention to their toxic attempt to co-opt public messaging in city communications on city property with their phrase, magical, alluring, galvanizing, adventurous, parentheses, MAGA. For publicly challenging this deliberate, more normalization of extremism, Cluey was arrested and jailed, yet his protest galvanized resistance against the anti-democratic forces threatening our nation. Now, therefore, it be resolved that Stonewall Democratic Club commends Chris Cluey and all those who peacefully resist authoritarianism for what we stand in solidarity with those who defend democracy, reject the rise of MAGA's political extremism, and work to uphold the Constitution, the rule of law, and the fundamental rights of all people. The United States is a democracy, not as a dictatorship, and so we resolutely oppose the attempted erosions of our freedom and peacefully but forcefully resist the subversion of our democratic principles and governance. All righty, can I get a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I'll open the floor for discussion. Is there any discussion?
What are there plans? Or is there an action plan?
Say that again.
Is there an action plan
We're
in
asking,
mind?
what it is that we are standing, so we don't want to make a call on the world to engage in violent activism. We want them to engage in civil disobedience, but we have to be careful how we ask for it. And the thing is that we have a party that, I'm sorry, but we're a bit milquetoast. And because we're so milquetoast in the way we approach these things, I want us to stand up and be more strong, to strengthen our resolve about supporting people who get engaged in civil disobedience like Chris Cluey has done, and to show the Democratic Party that this is what it's going to take for us to overcome these extremism, and to show them that their way of, tiptoeing through the Republican garden is just ain't gonna work. So that's the reason, that's the call to action, is to support those, that civil disobedience indirectly, and doing it in a way that is as pacifist as we can, being milquetoast. We're being milquetoast to tell people to stop being milquetoast. And then I see Steve Martin's hand is raised.
Yeah, and this is just my observation. We have a protest to extremism in here, and there's no mention of Sam Nordquist and his death. I think that's something important to include when we're talking about extremism, especially just a few days out from his murder, where he was tortured for over 1 month. And no offense to Mr. Cluey, but we have a straight white man in this, and we don't have a trans person who was slaughtered and tortured. And when we're talking about extremism, and I think that's a very important point that should be amended.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Any other comments? Because I don't want to dominate the conversation. I should not do that. Paul Newman.
Hi, yes, I was just going to say that as far as I'm concerned, and I'm a member of the LA County Party's Resolution, Democratic Party's Resolutions Committee, I believe in many resolutions, many stands that communicate on all kinds of specific and general issues. And that is, to me, I mean, I will tell you, I have a list of resolutions that I'm trying to see introduced, and that's actually a separate other resolution. I'm not saying it's disconnected, but there are limits in terms of number of words. There are all kinds of things that come into play, and that one really calls for a lot of attention and on its own, I think. So that's sort of my take. That was my approach in thinking about all of this.
And I'll speak to that as too, that I concur that this violence against trans, this calls for a much bigger action. Resolutions are, they're fun. They're not necessarily fun, but I mean, resolutions with I don't know how to explain it. I just think that resolutions, it's a really long enduring process. And to get the LACDP and the rest of them to get on board, and then they only get to submit 10 to the party. Is it 10, Paul, that they get to submit?
It's a small number. I don't remember exactly the exact
And then
number.
even smaller amount get adopted even. So it's challenging at best. I want to do something that more robust to talk about this and to go after, like putting together our list of congressional people that have gone on the record, have talked about, say, well, maybe we pushed too hard with the T. And where that's coming from, that's why I think it's too much to put it. I don't want to water down Sam by putting him in this resolution, is what I'm saying. At the National Federation of Stonewall Democrats, which I'm a part of, we are right now working on targeting those Congress members who are trying to separate the T. And we're putting together a plan to go after those Congress members and straighten them up real quick and draw a line in the sand. So there's a lot of that's going on right now, but it's not just here in California, it's a broader thing. And if you'd like to be a part of that, let me know, and then I'll patch you in, because I think what happened to Sam and what has been going on all along between especially our queer trans women, it's just appalling, and we've got to do more. I don't want to water it down with a resolution. That would be my only thing about that.
And just if I may respond, may I be?
Yeah.
okay?
Oh yeah, please do, Steve.
Yeah, thank you. The language I've been hearing a lot from people, that this is the Matthew Shepard moment of this generation, and I believe, and I believe other people would share this in the room, that any messaging around extremism should in parity reflect the messages that are coming from the community that are being overlooked. And something coming from this club, the second oldest LGBT club in the nation, talking about extremism, and leaving out Sam Nordquist feels like it's not only a missed opportunity. I've passed a resolution with KDEM before, and I think there's a real opportunity here, and maybe this is something that could be revisited in the steering committee.
Paul, if you would, when's the deadline to get these into the county? Are you still with us, Paul?
I'm sorry, sorry about that.
Yes.
The deadline is, there's sort of two answers I'm going to give, at least one. The other one I'm tempted to give. The deadline to your specific question is that, the answer to your specific question is that the deadline is 3 days before the LACDP's resolutions committee meets. The resolutions committee meets the first Wednesday of the month, so the first Wednesday of March. Now, there are other ways which are very difficult, one can argue, to achieve, to take it directly to the floor. And there are other ways of getting resolutions to the state party too. But I do want to caution, and this is sort of the answer I want to be careful about saying. The LA County Democratic Party's Resolutions Committee, as Steve may know and others may know, essentially states that when you hand a resolution over, it's in their hands. And I'm a member of it. At times a critical member, not meaning important, but one who is very critical of processes. And a lot of times the decisions made reflect their thoughts as to what they think the state party might accept, which often is a very generalized view of an issue, not one about a particular one person, one neighborhood, one community. And so there is that argument to be had, including within that committee and with that committee, if they're not in agreement with your view. So you can, by the way, I'm happy to work with anyone on a resolution about that and about violence in general, aiming, targeting a specific community, people. I'm very happy to do that. And I would do my utmost to make sure it gets heard and discussed and adopted. But I can tell you from experience, sometimes I've been involved with some that haven't gone forward because, it's just about one person. It's just about, or it's not accepted at the state level. So to me, I personally like to think of various efforts, some almost granular, some global. And I don't think everything containing mention of one specific person or matter, no matter how extraordinarily devastating and important their story is. That's something that doesn't always work well at that level politically with that committee. So I personally, my recommendation, and I'd be happy to do everything I can on that, would be to have a separate resolution. I personally think resolutions can be very important. I don't want to diminish their significance from my point of view, but I do think that I'd want to maximize it and not put it in the context in this context, particularly because there's so much injustice going on, and that's my concern. That's my thought process.
Now, and the first Wednesday is when you guys are meeting?
Yes, first Wednesday, the resolutions committee, and then the second Tuesday is when resolutions, if recommended, essentially by the committee. The second Wednesday is when the LA County Democratic Party Central Committee, second Tuesday is when the body as a whole will take up such resolutions as are before them. Now, the LA County Democratic Party's Resolutions Committee might or might not forward it, from them. A lot of times, with some degree of frequency, they'll take up something, they'll ruminate on it, they will say we want to wordsmith it, they will do whatever, and so it doesn't always move forward that month. And there is a tendency to look at things if they think they are separate and apart, and that becomes a reason sometimes for either deleting it entirely, which I would hate to see happen with what we're talking about here. I'm talking about the element that they see as being not necessarily representative of the totality, and there are all kinds of decisions that can be made. And again, I don't always feel happy about those moves.
Would just to Mr. Martin's question, would you be willing to entertain us drafting a separate resolution with your assistance, collaborating with us so that we could do an emergency executive board committee to be able to put that in and get that to Paul to be submitted with our resolutions. Would you be willing to participate with that, Mr. Martin?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm particularly aware of all of the things that Paul's expressing. My resolution, I think, went through 7 or 8 redrafts, and sometimes it was just the word that was chosen, sometimes it's the framing, and sometimes it's the spirit of the whole message. So I'm happy to work with anybody on that.
All right. We'll check your schedule next week during the week, well, during this next over the weekend, because we got to get it out quickly if we're going to get it done. So
Yeah.
maybe we can collaborate by this, but this Wednesday is not the first, so we have to, by maybe this Wednesday we'll collaborate. We can offline about that. But in the meantime, is there any more discussion on the resolution the way it is right now? Mr. Newman? Mr. Newman, you have your hand raised? We can't hear you. You're muted.
Some would call that a blessing. But I would just say that I'm also a member of the Glendale Democratic Club, which has a meeting this Thursday. And Mr. Martin, Steve, or anyone else, if you actually feel that a resolution separate and apart from this one, what we're discussing though, can be drafted that you would feel comfortable with submitting to the Glendale Democratic Club for its possible consideration Thursday, then that's something I'm perfectly happy to talk with you about, and to the extent everyone's time permits, coordinate with if you wanted me to help to play a role in that. But I'd be happy to see about presenting it there. Otherwise, there will be other opportunities, and I'm all for doing that.
Thank you very much, Paul, for your participation in this. And for the record, Paul was instrumental in drafting the initial draft on this, and he's been instrumental in helping us get Mr. Cluey to come speak with us. But along with that is our very own Christopher Bowen. Let's give him a hand for bringing this presentation together and helping us make this happen. We appreciate you, Chris Bowen. All righty. So with that, Steve, do you withdraw your motion to amend at this point? Mr. Martin, do you withdraw your motion to amend? Hello? I don't hear.
Did it get a second? If it didn't get a second, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think it did get a second.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, but Chris Baldwin spoke up that, Miss Baldwin, do you withdraw your second on that motion?
Did I second that? I don't think I did, but I can withdraw the one I didn't.
Okay, there you go. We're good. All right. So without any further commentary, I don't see any more hands for discussion. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution as written?
So moved.
Thank you. And can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. And let's see, is there any objections to the motion? Let's see if I can do it quickly by acclamation. Does anybody object to the motion? No objection to approving the proclamation. All right, with that being the resolution, I meant. With that being said, then the motion carries. Hooray! We got through that work. Now, the next thing we got to get through is we got to talk about let's see, we have some budget requests to request. So thank you for looking at the wonderful artwork that was presented. It's a lot of work to create that art. We must compensate our artists. We stand by the principles that AI can be problematic, and I will not use it for graphics for this club anymore. Don't tell nobody I was using it before, but we need to compensate. And so to make amends for my error in doing that, I have come out of pocket money to give Ms. Banks for her and commissioned her to do the artwork for Black History Month. And she's working with me on that. I would like to ask the club to approve over the next 60 days, graphics with Ms. Banks for Women's History Month and also for April celebrating Lesbian History Month. That's $7.50 a month for her work, and I'm sure it could be very much appreciated because she donates a lot of extra time to us, and she deserves the money for this. So I see
moved.
I see moved and seconded. All those in favor say, oh wait, is there any discussion? All right, 1, 2, 3, no discussion. Is there any opposition to spending the money? I see no hands going up in opposition. The motion is approved by acclamation. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Next,
thanks, everybody.
thank you, Alex. All right, Stonewall Honors. Let's talk about Mr. Ernest Cornish and Tracy Connor, our co-chairs for our 50th anniversary and our honors award ceremony. Please give your report, and then how much money are you wanting for this project?
Well, let's discuss this project first, and then we'll go from there. I am going to share my screen because I do have a nice presentation. And let's just put it this way. This has been a committee wide, as far as this, it's agreement as far as the committee. I've been working diligently on this since last year. Along with the election, I was also doing the 50th anniversary. And then Connor came on board, and we've been moving a little bit faster now, which has been great. And now I have 3 venues to show you, and we're going to vote on one, I hope, because at this point, we need to get the venue locked in so we can move forward on everything else. We want to get this advertised ASAP, and we need to do the I don't know, what do you call it, Renee? I forget what you
It's
call
the
it.
sponsorship deck.
Yes, the sponsorship deck. We need to get that immediately out to the public. And no further ado. Whoops, sorry, I don't know what that was. Hang on. Okay, everyone can see my screen, right?
No,
Negative.
Huh?
I
no.
just see a blank.
It's not. Oh, stand by. Hang on, sorry. Let me stop. Share. Oh, okay, here we go. Keynote. Now do you see it?
Yay!
Yay! Okay. So this is venue number 1. It's called The Mint. The address is at 6010 West Pico Boulevard in California, or Los Angeles, California. It holds about 300 people. Base price for the rental is going to be $1,500. Food and bar minimum is $7,500. There is going to be additional costs like valet because there is no parking in that area. And that is to be announced yet. I am still waiting on companies to get back to me, but I'm thinking that's going to be another at least 1,000 or 1,500. So we're looking at that additional cost, plus the banners, plus the decorations. Number 2, we have APT 200. It's apartment 200. We're located at 7746 Santa Monica Boulevard, West Hollywood. It only holds 150. The venue cost is $5,000. The bar is no minimum, but guests must purchase their own drinks. Additional cost would be outside catering and valet again. Also included with that would be the decorations and also what am I thinking of? Anyways, and the banners. Number 3, Candela, La Brea. This is going to blow your mind away, but this is the venue that would be the most, to me, it would be the most sense. But listen to what we have. We have 22,000, which would have to go to the venue, but that includes everything. And the only thing that does not include is the banners and the decorations. That includes the setup, the teardown, the projections, the stage, the lighting, everything. That 22,000 includes everything except for the banner, which is an additional probably 400 that I've been quoted, and the decorations, which we probably were going to ask for 1,000 for decorations. So in that case, here's the three all together. We need to come up with an answer as soon as we can. We want to make sure that these venues, one of these venues, is locked in and locked down. And I'm gonna hang on, Ed. I see your hand. I'm gonna ask for you to hang on just a second. With that 22,000, and with any of these, we're gonna plan on doing some fundraisers. We're gonna do barbecue drag. We're gonna do all kinds of events leading up to this event, because we know that we're gonna need that money moving forward to cover that cost. We also want to get the sponsorship deck made as soon as we can, so that we can start getting sponsors in. If we can get 5 sponsors at $5,000, we got it covered. And we got extra at that point. And then whatever we bring in at the door, we're ahead of the ball game at that point. So we need to get this venue locked down, or a venue locked down, and then we need to get the sponsor deck in the next week or two, so we can get it out to the public, so we can get this money coming in. So that is my proposal. That I'm going to leave this up. Ed, go ahead with your question.
Just a point of clarification. The base rent of 22,000 does not include catering. Do we have a rough number for how much catering will be? And what are the numbers for our last major event like this? It was about 18 months ago, I think.
Good question, Ed. And it does cover food. We will have cocktail party style, which is already included in that 22,000. So that will be a no additional cost. All the other venues will have that additional cost. That's why I'm bringing that point up. And what we brought in last year, Chris Baldwin, Chris Baldwin?
I'm here.
Do you have that answer for last year's?
What is the question?
Oh, what we brought in for last year's honors?
Last year we raised over 24,000.
It's over 24,000. And Ed, I'm gonna tell you, I've been working on some names. I've been working on Pete Buttigieg. I'm working on I'm working on Bernie Sanders right now. I'm working on people. I want to get the house packed, and I want to bring in the money, because this is our 50th. We're combining the honors this year with this celebration. I have the West Coast Singers are joining us. They have 80 members that are coming to sing. We have the Gay Men's Chorus. We're almost finalizing them as well. So we have some talent. We have a big agenda. I mean, not agenda, but I have a big expectation to bring this as a black tie fair that no one else has ever seen in the past. Because this is what I've been working on. I've been working on this night and day, and this has been my life for several months now. Any other questions?
Ernest, did the Candela La Brea say they could take a deposit?
That would be a Renee question.
No. Well, we could talk about that offline.
Okay. All right. So, I'm gonna ask.
I want to say something too. Also, I want to add something
Sure.
to this. Is, I'm only concerned about how tariffs get hit. I'm concerned about people losing jobs and what that's going to do to participation and sponsorship. I'm a little bit concerned about those things. And that would be my only reluctance. The thing is that I know we could break even. But the Stonewall Honors has traditionally been an event that we try to raise about $20,000 so that when we go toward the elections in 26, we've got money to spend on slate mailers, to send out to the entire county for LGBTQ community, and to support our endorsed candidates. So keeping that in mind, it could be a boom, it could be a bust. I don't think it'll be a bust. I think we can see there'll be a lot that we can do in terms of how do you say, in terms of raising those funds. But I'm just a little nervous because I don't want everyone to come back to Renee and Ernie and say, man, y'all wasted a bunch of money, man. We didn't make any money on that event. This is a team effort. Y'all got to decide. And also, I want to hear from Connor Tracy. Connor, because he's co-chair.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Yeah, so I think it's Candela is the way to pronounce it, but I definitely like that venue the most as far as what we're trying to do. I just know from doing events myself for a long time, it is a very big risk. So I just wasn't sure if everyone wanted that kind of pressure on themselves to hit all those numbers. So I personally had suggested that maybe the Mint made the most sense just because it's only a 1,500 payment and then we have a 7,500 bar/food minimum to hit. So my guess is, and that means they would provide alcohol and food, and my guess is if it's packed out, we'd probably at least do half of that. So even if we only hit half of that minimum, that means we'd be out of pocket the 1,500 plus another like 3 or 4K, and it's a 300 person venue. So I know that that's like a for sure go. But I think if we nail the Candela one, like it'll be a way more like epic event. So that's just my thought on those two.
Thank you, Connor. And
Sean?
also, Mr. Oh, I'm sorry, Ernie. I'm sorry. I'm. Never mind.
That's okay. Sean, go ahead. Sean, we don't hear you. Sean, did you have a question? I guess not. Renee, go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't have anything
Oh.
more to add to it. But one of the things that I was thinking that perhaps maybe the thing to do, because you mentioned you're going to do fundraisers, right? What if we booked the Mint? We start working on our sponsors now. And if sponsorship goes well enough to get us into Candela, we go to Candela and then use the 1,500 for the Mint for a different event for like doing the drag queen bingo or whatever, doing something that you wanted to do. What do you, that's would be
No,
my.
I agree. I mean, the Mint is going to be our best bet out of all three.
Unless we get the sponsorship.
Unless we get the sponsorship. And Connor, do we have to put a deposit down on the Mint, like ASAP?
Yeah, I think just to lock it in. Yeah, and the deposit's $1,500.
Oh, okay. So I guess what we need to do, and Renee, we don't know do we know what we don't know what the deposit for that one is.
Oh, I think they want half now,
Oh, half of it?
and it's not refundable.
Okay.
So
So is there any other discussion on this before I talk about anything else? I don't see anyone's hand. Oh, Steve, Ed, sorry.
Sorry. So what I think I'm hearing is that you are moving to place a deposit on Mint and try to get sponsorships for the better venue, the bigger venue. Is that I'm just asking for clarification of what motion is on the table.
Well, I haven't put one yet. But the thing is we either have to put $1,500 down on the Mint, or we have to do what is it, 12? No, it'd be 11,000 on the Candela. I don't think I think the number 2 spot, apartment 200, I think we're gonna just disregard that one at this time.
Well, we shouldn't disregard it if we can get the space for free, which is also an option.
The apartment 200.
I meant for a fundraiser prior to the big event in November.
Oh, gotcha. Did you have any other questions, Ed? Okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
So I'd like to make the motion then that we approve 1,500 now for the Mint, and that the committee goes back to continue to work on getting sponsorship. And if we can get at least the deposit in sponsorship, then we take Candela. But also keep in mind that Candela is not available on November 8th, the Saturday that we wanted to have it. They would be available a different day, so we might have to move it down a week.
Well, and that's fine for me. I either way, I mean, we're still in November and we're still in the 50th. So I mean, it a week ahead of time, it doesn't matter.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, so let's bring that motion. And the motion is right now to spend $1,500 to reserve the Mint for November 8th for the 50th anniversary celebration of the Stonewall Democratic Club.
We need a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stapleton.
Okay. Any more discussion? Is there anyone that does not want this approved? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Anyone to abstain? Going once, going twice. Sold.
There you go.
I would leave that up to it passed. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And I'm so sorry it's getting so late, folks. I know we're gonna hit the 9 o'clock hour. Mr. Brancolini, did you want to give a quick report? I think did we still have Mr. Brancolini with us?
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, I'll be very brief. We are having our political team meeting next Tuesday evening at 6:30. I'll send out an email with the link info and the agenda. But the main thing that we're going to be doing is sort of figuring out what kind of political organizing you folks want to do. We're kind of in the off season. We have a lot of options, and so we want to do stuff that, there's obviously a lot that we could focus on. There's a lot. It's as has been touched on a couple times this meeting already. It's a very chaotic time, and so sort of how we are strategically allocating our time and our resources, I want we want to hear your guys' input and feedback. So that meeting's next Tuesday. Also a reminder that we have that there is a special election tomorrow in a race in Orange County in which we've endorsed, and again, we've endorsed Jimmy Fan. That's for Senate District 36. So if you know folks in District 36, if you have friends or family there, please remind them to vote tomorrow. Um, the other sort of thing I wanted to just quickly note is that there is a special election in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It's April 1st, and the Democratic candidate or Democratic aligned candidate, since it's technically nonpartisan, is Susan Crawford. There's been a massive influx of spending. I guess it's really just a massive ad buy by super PACs aligned with Elon Musk. And so that's a race that's kind of one of the races I'm thinking that we might want to get engaged with, for the next 6 weeks, since that is going to be, Wisconsin was the closest swing state in the last election. This is first basically the majority. This is there's currently a 1 seat Democratic majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So the judge who is retiring is one of the Democrats. So this is a seat essentially for control of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which will affect gerrymandering in that state and potentially the presidential election for 2028. So even though it's the beginning of 2025, we're still having to think strategically about best positioning the party in the country for 2028. So that's a race that we will talk about more, what kind of level of involvement makes sense from us here in California. But that's one of the things that I wanted to just flag for the political meeting next Tuesday. Other than that, like I said, if you're interested, there's a lot we can be doing, but we want to do stuff that people are excited and engaged in. So please, if you are free and interested, come to our political team meeting next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. We'll be on Zoom. I'll circulate the link and an agenda at the beginning of next week. Thank you.
And also remember, if you're ever looking for links to sign up for a meeting, it's on our calendar. Mr. Cornish does an excellent job of getting them up real quick. Alrighty. And also, if there's something that you want the club to support, an event, something going on, please forward that to info@Stonewall. And then if the powers that be, not me necessarily, but think it's an appropriate support for the club, an event that we want to support, then we'd be happy to put it on our calendar as a side note. Also, let's see, we want to go to, I don't see Ms. Steelman here. Do I see Ms. Steelman here? I don't, but I didn't think she had a report. Ms. Baldwin for fundraising.
Thank you, Madam President. My report's very short. I'm working with Connor to create a fundraiser. Couldn't get anything happening in March, but we're definitely looking at some dates in April. And we probably will use that space, apartment 200, because I'm working out a deal with the club manager to donate that space to us. So we're not paying anything. And we'll get an Act Blue event page up soon. So I've been a little busy. I've just been appointed as the chair of the NAACP's first LGBTQ committee out of the Beverly Hills chapter. So thank you guys for that. And yeah, so we'll have a full report for next meeting. Thank you, Madam President.
Excellent. And then let's see. I wanted to also bring the attention to Mr. Michael Kalorge, our operations VP, who had a quick announcement.
Just as a reminder, if you are receiving emails about renewing your membership, please do so and renew with the existing email address. If not, I'm going to have a hard time finding if you can actually vote for a meeting or not. Renee, I will offline with you tomorrow about LACDP rechartering. I just need 2 documents from you. That's it.
That's it. All right, we'll be rechartering shortly. And I wanted you to know, I asked the question, do we want to recharter as a Democratic club? Because I'm telling you, I get worried about what's going on in our party and how they treat us. So, but we started out as the thorn in the Democratic Party side, and we're going to continue to be the thorn in the Democratic Party side and to make sure that they do not sell us out ever again. That's what my goal is in this club. So with that, we have a calendar that's listed on the agenda. Cut and paste that, save that for the future. And I also wanted to answer Mr. Martin's question. Yes, the budget vote tomorrow, for, that basically is gonna almost gut Medicaid almost entirely, which is gonna affect so many people. It's the worst thing ever. And I don't think it can be stopped, but we can't stop it this tomorrow. But I would like, Mr. Martin, do you have any recommended actions for us that we can do tomorrow? Like in terms of phone calls or advocacy we could do to help?
Yeah, so there's activist groups all over the country right now that are doing like don't cut our Medicaid hashtags that are trending all over the place. Today there was over, last time I checked, I think it was over 60 million from the group that I work with. Excuse me, 450 million impressions on Don't Cut Our Medicaid. Medicaid is the single largest healthcare expansion that provides for queer people, the elderly, the disabled. It is the crown jewel of the Affordable Care Act. I'd love to see if an email could go out to our membership to be engaged highly online tomorrow. There's already one no Republican vote. We only have to flip one more. Something that's incredibly achievable, asking people to call into their representatives, calling in to their senators. There's a real opportunity to tank this before it ever makes it. The grassroots activations around the country with town halls are pretty high, and we only need to flip one more Republican vote.
Very good. And then we have two other announcements real quick. Sarah Ruse, could you please talk about your countywide group that you have a meeting coming up?
Oh, sure. Thanks for asking. I stuck the flyer in the chat. I'm starting a group with a teacher from Southeast LA devoted to kids issues. And as you know, I don't have to tell anyone here that issues of LGBTQ plus and trans kids are really foremost right now. We'll be hearing the programs set by my teacher friend, and her idea was to, in the face of all this dismay, to point out the things that people are doing which are working. LAUSD, huge school system, has a division devoted to DEI issues and a person whose job it is to help GSA groups on campus, and we'll be hearing from them. I think there are others also, but I've put that in the chat, and we'd love to see you if you're free or interested in joining group this Thursday. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. And then we had another now, Natalia Zernitskaya. It's amazing I can pronounce your name at this hour of the night, but I can do it. Natalia, do you want to mention about what's going on in Santa Monica?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So tomorrow we have our Santa Monica City Council meeting, and we actually have an item on the agenda to direct staff to draft a resolution to protect gender affirming care in Santa Monica. I haven't gotten any letters of opposition at this point, but it's always good to have more support on the record. So if folks would be able to send a quick email, I put the information in the chat of where to send it to and the item number. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out and ask. But thank you guys for all y'all do, and look forward to working with you, continuing to work with you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, council members. Zernitskaya, thank you. And then Ms. Geraldine Stapleton.
Yeah, just a reminder that DISFIP's General Assembly is Saturday, it's Saturday, March 1st And so we will be electing the new board and the new officers and everything. And of course, on a personal note, I'll be rerunning for AD 44. So anybody that's AD 44 that can show up to vote for that assembly district. But it'll also, and be voting for the at-large, the whole schmear. So I hope people are planning to attend.
And Geraldine, what are our qualifications to vote? We just have to be a Democrat, right?
Well, yeah, you have to register, right. Yes, you do need to be a Democrat.
But you don't have to be a member of DIPSIV or a club or anything like that, right?
No, you do.
You do?
We did turn in the Stonewall roster to DIPSIF. Also, you need to register online via AppBlue. It's a $25 ticket to go to General Assembly. As one of the DIPSIF affiliated clubs, Stonewall Democratic Club's entire roster was sent over, so people who show up to vote on Saturday can vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalorge, for clarifying that. And now, Mr. Ernest Cornish, what else do you have for us today?
Well, I have some exciting news because tomorrow night we have finally Why Protecting Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion Matters. It's the webinar we've been waiting for. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. The information's on the website, and join us. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Cornish and Ms. Kanick.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to say that the LA County Democratic Party has a really contentious vote coming up in March. They want to lower the voting threshold from 2/3 to 60% on recalling folks and changing the bylaws and a couple of other things. It's very, very contentious. So for those who care about that sort of stuff and where the party is going, you should probably really look into that and also lobby the 7 folks who represent you in the committee. So I'm 80-55. Right now I'm a no vote on that, but that's what's going down on March 11th. And there was almost hour and a half meeting tonight. I was in both meetings, this one and that one, our special rules committee meeting, of them trying to basically justify it. But what I heard the most that came out of that meeting is it was because of the obstructionists, that it was a way to move past the obstructionists and to get more business done. And to me, that's not a legitimate reason to change the bylaws for the county, for the largest party in the US, largest local party. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
And Jasmine, could you offline with me possibly so we can get it out in the newsletter to all our contacts?
Yeah, sure. I'll send you over the proposed, what's being proposed. And I just actually finished an op-ed on it that I'll probably put out tomorrow. But it's very, very concerning.
And if you could send the op-ed also to Ernest, so that Mr. Cornish, so that we can get it up on the website as well. And
they're gonna hate y'all even more.
They're gonna hate us even more.
Even
But
more.
okay, because I'm not here to be liked by anybody. I'm here to fight.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
That's
so
it.
Anyway, I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. At this point, it doesn't look like we have any more announcements. So yeah, Michael, were you waving your hand?
No.
Okay. I'm having a mental moment. Hold on. So, in honor of Sam Nordquist's memory, and in the memory of all the other people we have lost in our community to violence and hatred and extremism, we adjourn this meeting on their behalf. And to remember them and to know that we stand on the shoulders of many other activists who've gone before us, who have made tremendous sacrifices so that we could live our authentic selves. And we owe that to the future of our LGBTQ community, to be the shoulders that they can stand on. We cannot renege on our obligation to give back what was given to us and what others continue to pay for. in the form of giving of their lives and sacrificing of themselves. So with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Ernest, do I have a second?
Second.
Yay! So is there any discussion on adjourning? I don't think so. And with that being said, let's call it a night, everybody. Oh, all in favor of calling it a night? Yeah.
Aye.
And
Hi.
and say, okay, is anybody opposed? I didn't think so. All right, we're done, folks. Thank you so much for being patient with us for this long meeting.
Good
We
night.
appreciate all of you.